Kenyans, let us present this letter to you because Kenya is running out of time. Young people feel left out. Public service in Kenya is a favor, not a right. The problem is mostly in our software, not our hardware. Kenyans feel insecure and they are insensitive to people with disability. This is a letter from BBI, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are wealthy, a letter protecting Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter protecting Kenya where youths are not jobless.
We need to have a nation of ideals and not that of blood ties, because Kenya, to be a united nation, it must be bound by shared aspirations and ideals, and not by blood and soil. But this is not where Kenya is today. Our collective sacrifices and efforts will be needed to build this future day and day. This is a letter from BBI, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are wealthy, a letter portraying Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter portraying Kenya where youths are not jobless.
Kenya is running out of time because we need to change our trajectory, our social and economic software, and also our way of governance. It is time Kenya proved to itself and the world that an African country can rise to the highest height. This is a letter from BBI, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are well, a letter protecting Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter protecting Kenya where youths are not jobless.
Young people feel left out. Young people, broadly speaking, feel that their needs and aspirations are not being met. We must undertake radical measures to change the dynamic and structure that have led them to feel this way. This is a letter from BBI, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are wealthy, a letter portraying Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter portraying Kenya where youths are not jobless.
In Kenya, there is no tomorrow, only today. This is due to lack of a collective vision, contributing to selfish interests that feed corruption. When money is known as pesa ya serikali, it is something to plunder, not to respect. Therefore, leaders must lead or get out of way in crafting of a 100-year vision of Kenya. This is a letter from BBI, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are well, a letter protecting Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter protecting Kenya where youths are not jobless.
Kenyans feel insecure. New headlines are filled with stories of domestic violence, which destroys psychological well-being and even kills. Sexual abuse are making protected spaces feel threatening. Drug dealers induce promising young people into ruin. The security services must draw up strategies that are rooted in human security and responsive to harms befalling individual Kenyans. This is a letter from BBI, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are wealthy, a letter portraying Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter portraying Kenya where youth are not jobless.
We have adopted a system of sweeping injustice under carpet. Year after year, Kenyans suffer from many forms of abuse and injustice, including when they are carrying out their political right during election. The implementation of the recommendation of this report should include the interests and needs of the victims of historical injustice. This is a letter from BBI, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter protecting Kenya where citizens are wealthy, a letter protecting Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter protecting Kenya where youths are not jobless.
The problem is mostly in our software, not our hardware. Others are corrupt, even as we personally offer and solicit bribes. Our churches and mosques are packed to the rafters with fervent worshippers, yet many outside those hours of worship behaves in ways that are in direct contradiction of our faith. We cannot fix Kenya until we first fix ourselves as individuals. This is a letter from BBI, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are wealthy, a letter portraying Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter portraying Kenya where youths are not jobless.
Kenyans are insensitive to people living with disabilities, and many of us don't regard disability as something we ourselves can suffer or that can be suffered by a person dependent on us. We have created a separate world for them to live rather than struggling to integrate them in our society. We need to interrogate our attitudes towards our brothers and sisters living with disability, and it is important that they choose their representatives and not have nominated representatives chosen for them by parties. This is a letter from BBI, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are healthy, a letter portraying Kenya where citizens are wealthy, a letter portraying Kenya where orphans are not homeless, a letter portraying Kenya where youths are not jobless. Peace.